I was going to ask you who hired you. Was it Jim Ross or was it Russo? Or
Yeah, Vince Russo definitely put in, and I did the speaking with Jim Ross. He came out that day, and
Right.
that was the first time I got to speak with him. And he told me that they would be FedExing me, something, and I would look at it, and it was their base thing. But yeah, he was talent relations, so that's who you dealt with, and so.
All right. What were your thoughts on Jim Ross?
Good, good businessman, very pragmatic, when he said, no, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it.
Right. I was going to ask you, did they make you any promises when you first came into the company? Like, this is what we're going to do with you? Or?
No, it was that I was going to work with Sable, and I don't know whatever happened. There was usually not, a storyline would be ran past her and it wasn't agreeable at some level with either her or her husband, or it would be, so you would think that you were going to do something and then you didn't get to do it, and then it would get scrubbed. So politics, I mean, and I don't talk about politics in a negative way. It's a thing there. I think it's a vital part of the culture of what goes on, and I think that it shows how well you can negotiate backstage has a lot to do with how you're going to do out in the ring,
right.
As well. And so, I don't, if I have, and speaking of those things, they're not like, some big, horrible, dramatic, it's a part of the culture. So get to know it, get used to it, your stuff. I mean, when you watch things on Saturday Night Live, it's insanely competitive backstage. And you may have like a really good contract or a great position, be well known in your field, and you may not get any skit time. It gets scrubbed, and people know how to jockey. People know how to get somebody's ear. And that's very much a part of the culture.
The wrestling business.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people that I talked to, we've done interviews with in the past, said that Sable is pretty hard to work with. I mean, would you agree with that? Or?
Yeah, she didn't want to work. She had a sweet spot, and perhaps she felt, unstable in that when you're at the top,
right,
and the people younger and hungrier are coming in behind you, of course that feels like crap. When you're on top, there's one direction.
right.
When you're crawling up to the top, there's lots of options. When you're on top, there's one direction that you're going to go if it doesn't all fare well. So yeah, I mean, she wasn't a bad person or anything. It was just trying to get anything done was
pain.
Yeah, it was a pain.
When you worked with her, was she cool with you, or was she?
Yeah. I didn't have any problems in the ring. Luna was really stiff, and Jackie were stiff. And you never knew what you were going to get with them. But in the end, that was okay. I mean, I was never in any. It's just you never knew what it was going to be, and I was naive to the politicking. I didn't know how to do it, and so I had a lot of downtime.
Right. I guess, what was it like to work with Sable when you I guess you made your
well, when we actually got in the ring, it was neat, the WrestleMania match, and that I got to be with her in. It was it was neat, and I was getting information backstage, like, oh, the breasts keep flying out and blah, 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 blah. So I tried to come up with a costume, and I remember the costume at the time got these weird reviews because I didn't know how it was I had done a really, really neat photo shoot. I love doing print work, and I worked with a photographer, Leroy Roper, where he'd done body painting, and I thought, I'd be so cool if I looked like my body were painted, but it didn't, the costume didn't quite look the way I remember Jerry Lawler saying, yeah, it almost looks like she's naked, But it was, I remember when Vince McMahon and Rock saw me coming out to go back into Gorilla, it was kind of like, I knew I'd kind of blown it. Someone was like, what the is that? I was like, that's interesting. And so that's where, the backstage politics, because I remember Luna telling, if tits are flying, and here's Sable in this hot, like barely there, bikini thing in these little teeny tiny shorts, and so she definitely didn't have anything to worry about me knocking her off of her top position here, because I come with my boots from Japan that covered my knee brace, and a full-blown jumpsuit that was body painted on.
Right.
So that was, but I mean, at the time it seemed, so I was following bad advice for sure, and I'm sure that they were laughing quite heavily about that. Oh yeah, yeah, and there would be a lot of that would go on after that, but it's the culture. It's so the culture. Yeah.
What about Luna? Did you know Luna at all before WWE?
I knew her from like Heidi Morgan and the LPWA
Right.
stuff, and yeah, she was out there, very aggressive in the ring,
Right.
and came from a real strong, family background in the business, so she knew it well.
Yeah.
She knew it well.
What was she like outside the ring?
She was always nice. I didn't do the advice that I would get from her was, usually wrong.
Right.
And I wouldn't figure that out until later. I was pretty naive, in that respect, going, wow. And then, you don't want to catch heat when somebody that's been a senior to you, is telling you what to do, and you show up and you don't do it, then you're gonna have heat with them.
Right.
So yeah, the backstage, I sucked at backstage stuff. It was horrible.
Let's see what. Nicole Bass. What are your memories of Nicole?
She came in and I got to do some work with Dr. Tom. She was coming in and looking with her, kind of she was big.
Was she hard to work with because she wasn't a wrestling person? She was a bodybuilder and.
Yeah, she was a bodybuilder, and she had an entourage. Her husband, I remember her husband being around, and just coming. I really didn't think so much of her, and I didn't know that she was getting something that was maybe supposed to be mine or something. So she was just that, again, the backstage politicking. She moved awkwardly, so I didn't know, but she had, that big, that what you should be in the bit, that little girl watching Saturday wrestling, she was what I would have expected to see out in the ring. And so she definitely had a great place there, but I think she got in her way quite a bit with some stuff. I don't remember much about it now, but, really unnecessary. When the dramas of the backstage culture, when that stuff pops up, it's like, so man, there would have been so much fun to be had,
right.
in so many ways that it's like and I can say it if we all could have gotten out of our way and our ego, amazing storylines could have been born that would have been amazing.
What about Jackie? What are your memories of Jacqueline?
She was a stiffy too. She was fun, but she was fun. I always had fun when I was on the road with her, in the ring with her. She was real fast and spunky and speedy and
right.
everything. I always, enjoyed being with her.
What was the schedule like around this period of time for you, just being on the road?
It was on the road a lot, and then the divas started to perk up. Then Ivory came in, and we went from a skeleton crew to starting to get, more peeps, and it was great then because China was doing diva stuff. She was starting to do the Playboy thing came for her, and we were all out doing the bikini shoots and stuff. And, so the women's thing was really starting to pick up, that we had stuff that we could do. And that was really neat. And so, Ivory came in. She was a lot of fun. She was a hoot. Jackie was great. Yeah, so the divas thing was definitely picking up. And then Lita came in, and then Trish. And so, it's neat to be a part of that early skeleton crew coming into, now the evolution of now. It's wonderful to see how many women they have, and they're all beautiful, and they're working. So, like we were talking about that, just the work.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.